It's time for an Inuisis. Hey everyone, including SessRin is Canon and SessRin's fan club and official Inuyasha group. This is Inuyasha Takahashi, also known as the Hanyo Inuyasha, or Inuisis, or mainly known as official Inuyasha. Sorry, I have so many different names I go by. But join the gang, make new allies, fight more villains, defend feudal Japan.
A double-edged bloodline. Joy and sorrow, dreams and reality, one moment and an eternity. I'm seeing a comment, a question by Lou, and it says, how long have each of them been a fan of Inuyasha, and what was their reaction when Yashahime was announced on 2020? Also, what is the inspiration behind all of the stuff both Kylo and Inu do for the community? To answer the first part of the question, asking in regards to how long I've been a fan of Inuyasha for, well, I was super young. I was like a really, really young kid at the time. And it was really early on when they were slowly bringing the manga over to America, and I had seen snippets of it, and the logo was like completely different. And when I actually started first watching the show was from a neighbor, and she had it all in Japanese, and they would go ahead of what the English dub had already done, and they actually were, far ahead than what the American fans had seen. So it was always in subtitles, and I'd come over there and I'd just like hop in with whatever they were watching at the time, and they would kind of explain to me the situation of what was going on. But when I first looked at Inuyasha, it immediately actually reminded me of Ryoko from Tenchi Muyo. She reminds me a lot of him, actually. And when you rewatch Tenchi Muyo, she has that all brawn but no brain, like what Shippo said. Yeah, she's like that. It was around the time when the Inuyasha movies were coming out, and I begged and begged my grandma if she could please help me make an Inuyasha costume. And so she did research, and she used like a wizard robe pattern for the top and belly dancer pattern for the pants, and I was able to pick out the fabric, and it was some really like soft, like fuzzy material, and I still have it somewhere, but obviously I grew out of it a little bit. I can still put it on somewhat, but now it's just a bit shorter on me, but it's kind of funny. I think I kind of ruined it anyways because I kept wanting to modify it and make it better and better. But anyways, I ended up getting the official Inuyasha cosplay. Anyways, that's created by Great Eastern Entertainment. I've been happy with that one ever since, and I've worn that one for many, many years. My reaction to Yashahime being announced in 2020 was, well, ahead of time, I had made posts saying that it seemed like they were going to make more anime because we had posts of fans that went to conventions that actually talked to Katsuyuki Sumisawa and got to see Kaoru Wada. And in the posts in our Facebook group, you can see them where they said that it sounded like they wanted to have Rumiko let them make more anime. And it sounded like it went through. And at the time, I knew that it was possible because there was still so much material that was left from the manga, like chapter 559 with Roothead, Nanokubi, and that they could definitely adapt that into the continuation of the series. And that's when I knew, not only with the leftover manga material, but what was being said at conventions really solidified the fact that it was very open ended for a continuation. But on the emotional side, when Yashahime was announced, it hit me in the most surprising spots in my life. I was going through something so incredibly like dark, and I was just not doing good. Like at first I thought that I was things were going so well, and then just in the middle of it, out of nowhere, this really bad thing happened to me, and I was just so shocked and so like blown away. And then I was about to go to bed, like trying to take all of this stuff that was emotionally happening to me in my own personal life, and there it was. It was a picture of the logo from the Shonen Sunday cover, and I actually did buy that magazine, and so I have when they first announced it in 2020. But I guess like what I've been told is that it's seeing the face of God. I think that the inspiration behind what we do for the community actually kind of was my wife and our relationship. when we first got together many years ago, like officially together, um, I said, you know what we could make, right? Like, as a couple, I said that if we made a group together, that I'm pretty sure we could become one of the most active groups. And it did, it happened. And I think at the time when Yashahime first came out, like to be announced, I think that our group was about 20K members, and now we're sitting at nearly 60K members because of Yashahime and how big and popular it's resurfaced a lot of old Inuyasha fans to be excited for this continuation that a lot of us have been waiting for before. And I think that Maud Esther has a lot to do with it too, because I learned a lot about her culture and all of the different inspirations behind the creation of Inuyasha and all of her knowledge. I think that Maud Esther has a lot to do with it as well. Moko Moko sama asked for both what brought them to the Yashahime fandom, what keeps you motivated to keep being such active members of the fandom. To put it simply, Inuyasha brought me over to the Yashahime fandom. Being a part of the Inuyasha fandom just naturally became the Yashahime fandom. Inuyasha and Yashahime are simply a part of the same story, and so it was only natural for me to progress into talking about Yashahime and being a part of the Yashahime fandom. What continues to keep me motivated to being an active member of the fandom is the members, the people who are always asking for updates. And of course, Ayuria, especially because she's the one that does all the major work of translations. And so when she keeps up with it, I also keep up with it. And when I do the audiobooks and stuff, and I relay to her if I find any sort of, spelling error or something, or if she translates it and then someone asks her a question that she doesn't remember, but like she remembers it, but she doesn't remember where, I'll remember where it came from for the most part because I've reread a lot of the articles multiple times. I'm like, yeah, I remember where that came from. So I'll be able to happily answer people who also have questions about her own translations and stuff. So we kind of all like collaborate together. And Maud Esther was always a big part of that. And like I said before, she was probably one of the people that helped inspire me to be so active in this fandom was probably Maud Esther. Like, I've learned so much from her. I know that Miss Dowdy actually had a question for me in regards to the translations that we relay, and it was about she was curious on what Rumiko thinks of Sesshomaru and Rin. Well, honestly, I think she likes it very much. Although a lot of things in Inuyasha actually weren't directly planned out as is and how they ended up as, things like Naraku came way after. She's a really ad-lib creator, so she obviously knew about Sesshomaru and Rin being a really big couple amongst the fandom and especially the staff. But like even when it comes to Sesshomaru still being alive, she had the plans of killing him off at one point to protect a human, which would most likely had been Rin, I'm pretty sure. Then she ended up not being able to kill him off, and here he is. So a lot of things that were previously laid out ends up changing later on, even in the editors. And for the ending of Inuyasha, the final act, she didn't know how Kagome was going to end up, and she had to go to Satsuki Yukino. She asked Kagome's voice actor on which would you pick, and so she decided that the decision on Kagome was based more on the character rather than an answer prepared by the author. So since Kenarita and especially Mamiko Noto really were in favor of the coupling, I'm pretty sure that Rumiko probably wanted to ask everyone on like their opinions about Sesshomaru and Rin. And you can tell all of the staff was leaning more towards Sesshomaru and Rin. Like, they always were leaning towards it because we had Sachiko who was doing her own arts of Sesshomaru and Rin. You had the drama CD of Sesshomaru and Rin, that's Asade. You had all these interviews of Kenarita and Mamiko Noto, and even in Rumiko's past works such as Fire Tripper, Rin, Meizani Koku, series like that, it all had couples. Like even in Inuyasha, you had Koga and Ayame, you had Inuyasha and Kagome, you had all these characters that have big age gaps like that. mortal or immortal and so on, it was obvious that she would be completely fine with the pairing becoming official. And Rumiko never dismissed it at all. She never once dismissed it, and so it obviously naturally progressed in this fashion. Since it's been 1 year of it being the canon coupling since Yashahime, and that everyone all agreed, especially the voice actors, and she wants to feel the need to like ask the characters, and so in that sense, it felt very believable. And to say in every single episode of Yashahime, none of the characters have been out of character. Like, none of the characters' reputation has dropped or anything like that, because you can really feel Rumiko sensei in this work and her supervision, and to ensure that all the characters interact in the way that they should be. And you can really tell that it's her and Katsuyuki Sumisawa and Sunrise's work, and it is the true continuation of Inuyasha. And as she said in the official Yashahime guidebook, she said that Yashahime is the continuation of Inuyasha, to please watch the continuation. And I think that Rumiko sensei, when she was doing the art contest and picking out some select Sesshomaru and Rin arts, I think that that's a really big notification on how much she supports Sesshomaru and Rin, especially that Kagome is shown in the series supporting Sesshomaru and Rin, and one could say that Inukag couple ships SessRin and SessRin couple ships Inukag. And before I head off the show, I wanted to give my last opinions on Yashahime and how incredible it's been. It really has gone above and beyond what Inuyasha actually gave us in terms of how the battle and animations have gone. It's just like Katsuyuki Sumisawa said, was that they were taking what happened in Inuyasha and going well above that. It is a big upgrade from what we had originally seen in Inuyasha, but also giving the nostalgic feelings of what the original show had seen. And like he said, that Yashahime would give you feelings and emotions that you had never felt before, and it really has. And honestly, I am here for the ride, and I really do enjoy it. With that being said, from my anniversary to your SessRin anniversary, happy 1 year SessRin is canon.